2026 is the best year so far to start making video games and become a game developer. So no matter if you've never opened a game engine before or you just want to get consistent, there has never been a time where it's both easier and faster to make your own video games. And it all boils down to just one reason. It's the rise of independent games. There has never been easier for just one single person or a small team to make a hit video game. You've probably seen it on TikTok or YouTube, Instagram, whatever. That streamers, they might sometimes play a game that's not too big, it's not like super professional, maybe they play with their friends and they just seem to have super fun playing the game and it goes viral. It's likely a game just made by one single person or a very small team. For example, Getting Over It, Among Us, Stardew Valley, Phasmophobia, these are all independent games made by just one person or a very small team. And believe it or not, these are not these giga nerd programmers. They're just normal people that enjoy making games. And they ended up getting millions and millions of dollars in revenue. There are countless of examples that I could give you where one person, they have a very good idea, they make a small game in a few weeks or even just a few months, and they make millions of dollars in revenue. So I've come up with 3 main reasons why 2026 is the best year so far to start making indie games. And the first one is that AI is an advantage for indie developers. AI is gradually getting better. It's getting better every single day. And every single time there's a new coding engine, which is basically a AI model that can code for you, the idea of the game gets more important. So let's say every single time there's a new coding engine, the idea gets 1% more important. Right now it's around 80% of the success. And for you, that means that the success of your game isn't just because of the technical skills that you have, the art skills, the music skills. So if your idea is good, you market it well, and you manage the project so you actually finish it, then you have a hit game. You don't need to be a super giga nerd programmer, make these 2D models, make music. You don't need to know everything, because AI, it can do the code for us. We can download assets. And you might sit there and think, okay, why is this an advantage for indie developers, not like big studios? Well, it's because that big studios, they make one game every, let's say 1 year, 4 years, maybe 1 to 4 years. While an indie developer, they can make small games. We can make small yet fun games. We can make 2 or maybe even 4 of them every single year. So what you need to understand about game development project management is that as the project gets more and more complex, it gets exponentially harder to add new things and change things. So you can imagine in GTA 5, for example, let's say you wanted to add like double jumping or a new mechanic into GTA 5, like sneaking or crawling or something. Let's say crawling, right? You wanted to implement crawling into GTA 5. GTA 5 is a big game. There are hundreds of buildings. You can enter a lot of these, right? It would be a nightmare. It would take you hundreds of work hours to add sneaking into GTA 5 and actually have it like successfully implemented into the game without it being like buggy or modded, obviously. And that's simply because there are so many different like desks that you can crawl under, like different areas that the player could suddenly get to that they wouldn't before. There are a lot of these different cases that you need to think about when you add this crawling mechanic into GTA 5. Let's say you added crawling into your own small indie game. Like let's say you made your own game, your own little shooting game, and there's just one map, there's like one arena that you made, which is very likely and realistic project for you to make, like one arena shooter. You add crawling into that, that's not going to be a problem because you just have one arena that you need to consider. And the code is also not going to be that complex. So adding new things, iterating very quickly, that's an advantage we have as indie developers. So as the idea becomes more important, we get the advantage because we can iterate so quickly. We can focus on ideas, making small games, while a big studio, they need to commit to one idea and then work for it for multiple years. And now you might sit there and think, no one likes small games. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I'll have some gameplay footage on the screen of Midi Metro, for example, which is a good example of a small game. Was made by just a few people in like a few months or weeks. It's nothing super complex, but the game has sold millions and millions in dollars of revenue. It has sold like hundreds of thousands of units, and it's a small game. And the thing with small games is that you have less people that you need to split the revenue with. So let's say there were 5 people that sold 5 million in revenue estimate. That's like 1 million revenue each person, right? That's a lot. That's a lot. So even though the net result is smaller, the developer still got like a large chunk of money because there are just so few people and they didn't spend that many months working on it. It's not like they spend multiple years on this game. they probably spent like less than 6 months. But the thing you need to understand about this point is that you can't just not learn the foundations at all, okay? You still need to learn the foundational code to actually be able to use AI efficiently, so you can understand the project, you can understand the structure, and you can actually manage the project. So you can imagine like a project manager, they will need to have like some understanding about the project, how you do different things, right? Before they can even like allocate different tasks, they can tell the employees what to do. That's kind of what you need to do. You need to be a director, and to be a director, you kind of need to know like how acting is, like how the different tasks are going to work, what they need to do, just different structure of doing things. You need to actually understand if this is good, if this is bad, and that only comes if you actually know the foundational coding knowledge. So the basics of code, basically, as well as project management and marketing, which is basically what my channel is about. It's about learning foundational code quickly. It's about project management efficiently, so you actually finish your games. And I rarely talk about it, but marketing is also a topic that I can talk more about. Reason number 2 of why 2026 is the best year to make your own video games is that tools and distribution are so easy to use, and they're very beginner friendly. So in game development, we have what we call game engines, which is the software that we use to make the games. And the thing with these game engines is that they're not like some professional thing that you need to pay $1,000 a month for. It's completely free to both download, and you also don't need to split your revenue unless you make $200,000 within 12 months. Then after that, you need to pay $200 a month. So even if you have like a very solid income, like $200,000 a year, you only need to pay $200 a month for everything over that, right? So gamers, you basically don't need to have to think about paying anything. It's completely free. Don't think about that. Every software that we use, every asset you need online, it's completely for free. Unless you want some like really good or like very specific asset, okay, then you need to have to pay, okay. But there are a lot of like different music you can download for free. You can download sound effects for free. That's what I do in my the game I'm working on right now. And also these softwares, they aren't designed for like giga studios, right? So there's no like steep learning curve. You need to write in a terminal, write these different lines in here with no UI. It's very simple. When you want to make a game object, you want to make a video in the game, you want to add an image in the game, it's very simple. It's just a few buttons. And also publishing is also very accessible. So when I release my mobile game, for example, to the Google Play Store and Apple App Store, you need to pay $100, and the approval process there is very straightforward. Even though you need a Mac computer to upload to iOS, it's quite straightforward. You just kind of upload the game, you do the marketing materials, you write the descriptions, things like that. I didn't have any problems with that publishing. It's very simple, right? I'm sure you can do it within a few months if you focus on it. And Google Play, that was a bit more tricky because I needed some play testers, but it was still kind of, it's very straightforward. Like when you have the game, it's not super complex if the game is good and it works, obviously. Apple's App Store, that's $100 a year, so it's very cheap, less than $10 a month. And the Google Play Store is literally just $25 one-time fee. Very, very cheap. And also publishing to Steam, for example, which might be a goal that you have. It's currently a goal of mine. I'm making a Steam game right now. Publishing to Steam is only $100, which you also can recoup after you have $1,000 revenue. So it's not like if you don't have much savings or much disposable income right now that you can't make a game. It's like very cheap. The latest mobile game that I published to App Store and Google Play, I made it and published it, like distributed it to all platforms under a month, under 30 days. So it's not super complex. Now the third reason why 2026 is the best year to make your own video games is because the quality of education and the assets that you can download are much higher. What do I mean by this? Well, it's that when we are solo developers, we are just one person. Most likely you don't have anyone to make a game with, so I'll assume you're just one person. You might not know anything about modeling, making music, sound effects, all these things. You'll need to download that online because as solo developers, we can't do everything, okay? We need to focus on the things that are most important to us, where it's going to be code, it's going to be project management, it's going to be marketing, it's going to be these essential things that we can't outsource. Because downloading models, like 3D models online, is something we can do very simply, and it's also going to produce a better result than us trying to learn it and then making bad models and then trying to use those models in the game and then making a new model every single time we need a model. It's much easier to just go on the internet, search for like car model, download free, and then download the model, right? You can find the exact one that you need, the exact color. You can literally find everything that you need online, unless it's like super specific. In that case, you probably need to pay someone or learn it yourself, or you can make it yourself quite easily if it's like a simple thing, but that's not something you need to consider, because most likely your game is not going to be like a completely new theme that no one has ever thought about before, right? So we can basically download assets online. We can download 3D models, we can download music, we can download sound effects, we can download art, we can download like icons, whatever. We can download everything that we need. We can even download code or shaders. We can download materials, we can download textures like the wood, concrete, fabric, whatever. We can download everything we can find online. So for example, in the Steam game that I'm making right now, when I need a texture, for example, I need concrete on the floor, concrete tiles. I just go on Google, I search for like concrete tile download free, and then I just download it, I import it into my game, and now I have concrete tiles in the floor. And also like music and sound effects, these are the simplest to find online. You can go on a website called Pixabay or other websites. There are like literally tens of thousands of songs that you can use for free. I was shocked of this as well. That's where I find my YouTube music, my game music, everything. You can find everything on Pixabay. And also something funny is that you can make your own sound effects. So in my mobile game, for example, the jumping there is literally just me snapping. It's literally this. And also with education, the quality is much higher, because previously and still right now, there are a lot of people that make a lot of tutorials, and they think that tutorials, which is where you basically just follow along something, you just click the same buttons as you see on YouTube. People thought that tutorials was the best way to learn. But recently there has been a lot of people like me that have realized that tutorials, it doesn't work. Because personally, this is something I talk a lot about on my channel, is that I started game development when I was 11, right? And I was stuck just watching tutorials. I didn't learn anything from those, and I just wasted time. I just watched a tutorial, thought I'd learned a thing from the tutorial. Then I watched a new tutorial, doing the same things. I couldn't remember anything, and I just was in this loop. It's called tutorial hell. But as I said, recently channels like mine have realized that tutorials is not the best way to learn. Tutorials are basically useless. Unless you're watching like an introduction video, you're just getting started. A tutorial is basically useless, right? But luckily, as I said, channels like mine have come up and they have realized that tutorials are basically useless after like an introduction video for 3-5 hours in the beginning, when you are a complete beginner like you. After that, you don't want to watch more tutorials, you just want to experiment, you want to build. And that's how you actually learn, because we learn by doing. That's like a whole nother topic. That's something I talk about on my channel, but please be conscious of this, that you don't just watch tutorials, you actually try to build things yourself. So that's the third point. But right now you might have a lot of objections or like thoughts in your mind about different like limiting beliefs. So let's just squash those really quickly. You might think it's saturated, okay? To that, I'll just say that the gaming market is growing every single year. It's like growing every single year by billions and millions of dollars. And what even is saturation? Well, saturation is where there's a low demand and there's a high supply. And the demand is definitely not low, because the gaming market is a $1 billion market, multi-billion, hundreds of billions market, and the supply is not there. Not everyone is a game developer. A game studio can, as we talked about, make a game in like 1 to 3 years. They're very slow, and it's not like every single one in the world is like a game developer that can make a game to fulfill that demand. So it's definitely not saturated. Or you might think it's hard to make money. And I totally get that belief. Tons of people, they do game development for like multiple years without even thinking about monetization, because they just think it's fun, they think it's creative, it's like the best hobby, because it is the best hobby in the world. Obviously, I'll not promise you anything, it's not guaranteed that you're going to make money, but if you focus on monetization, you focus on marketing, and you focus on actually finishing your games, not just spending like 5 years on a game and then you publish it to Steam, you actually try to finish as many good games as possible, small, good games. You focus on monetization. How am I going to make this into a business where I can actually make some money, get sales, market the game? If you focus on that, you're literally already ahead of 99.9% of the people that start game development. Literally, because 99% of games, they are not finished, right? They're not even playable, start to finish. Basically, they're not ready to be released. And then probably like 90% of those that actually have a finished game that they can publish, they don't focus on monetization, they don't think about marketing, how am I going to make this into like a business where I can focus on sales, focus on revenue, focus on actually making this profitable. 90% of people that actually have a finished game are not going to think like that, but if you do, you're in the top 99.9%. So if that's your focus, it's much more likely for you to actually finish your games and then publish it to make money than other people. Your job is just to start, and then the market can decide if you actually deserve money. I know you might say, I don't know how to code, and we kind of talked about this, but it's not that you need to learn everything about code. Right now, you only need to learn the foundations to actually use AI and finish your projects with AI. And that's a very good thing, because it's very easy to learn the foundations. These are the simplest things you can learn. You need to learn variables, functions, things like that. Very simple things you can learn in like a few weeks, right? And then you can start using AI and you can make awesome projects faster than ever before. You don't really need to become a nerd. You just need to know the foundational code to be able to use AI. And after that, you just need to be the director, as we talked about. Okay, so that's it. But now I actually want you to start, because it's very easy. Please don't be this person that just watches this video and thinks, okay, yeah, I'll start, and then you never do it. Please don't be that person. Please, I'm begging you. You just watch this entire video and you're just going to like procrastinate. Oh, I'll do it later. No, please, fuck no. What you should do is start today. And I'm telling you, because game development is one of the only hobbies that actually leave you with a product that you can show. Most hobbies that you have right now is going to leave you with nothing but time spent. Okay, maybe like the gym. Okay, that's a good hobby, because you might have, whatever hobbies do you have? Like watching movies. Okay, that's just consumption. Playing video games, consumption. It doesn't leave you with anything. It doesn't leave you with a product. It doesn't leave you with even a business. It's just consumption, right? You don't want to be that person that just consumes. You want to produce something. Watching movies, okay. Whatever can you do? Like watch YouTube. Okay, learn new things. Okay, these are just consuming things. Think about your hobbies, like playing a sport. These are just consumption. Okay, you can do these things, sure, but you also want a hobby that you can actually produce something in, and game development is the best way to do that. These other hobbies that just make you consume are just completely useless. You don't need these. So I'm telling you, starting game development is the best decision you ever make. In the end, you can have multiple projects that you can show within a few months from now. You can have multiple games that you can show, just like me, and it's going to be awesome. You're going to have a ton of fun throughout the way. Even just making games are much funner than playing them. Everyone that starts game development thinks like this. It's funner to make games than play them. Okay, so with that being said, where do you actually start? I'm going to tell you. As we talked about, you don't want to get stuck into the roles. This is a thing that you're going to do. If you click off right now, you're going to get stuck into the roles. Even though you might be conscious of this, you're going to do that, because I really need to convince you of how you're actually going to learn, like the mindset for actually how learning works, if you're actually going to learn effectively. So what I made, because my channel is obviously focused on this, I've made the best video on how to start game development ever. So if you want to learn about how learning in game development actually works, which is going to be the first step for you actually learning game development, is to learn how learning works and how you should use tutorials, how you should actually learn, like the roadmap, the step-by-step guide to actually learn, then you can watch the video that's linked in the corner. I think, yeah, linked here, and also on the end screen and link in the description. So that's going to be your first step. There I'm going to tell you specifically what you're going to do to start. It's just a 7-minute video, but it's going to be the most valuable video ever on how to start game development. So that's what you should do right now. Either way, thank you so much for watching. Hope I convinced you. It's going to be awesome. It's the best decision you'll ever make. So thank you for watching.